Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Tim sent me a note about a judge in the news, and this is an ugly story from Iowa. The Associated Press reports Iowa judge charged with OWI after witnesses say she drove wrong way on the highway. Those wrong way drivers on the highway, they make the news because it's such a dangerous thing. Luckily, no one was hurt, but she's been charged with operating a vehicle while intoxicated after witnesses say she drove the wrong way on a highway recently while passed out behind the wheel. She's the chief judge of the state's 2nd Judicial District. She was released from the Boone County Jail on Wednesday morning, according to court records. A criminal complaint said motorists called 911 after 8 p.m. on Tuesday night to report a truck slowly driving eastbound in the westbound lanes on US 30. One of the witnesses reported the driver looked unconscious and slumped over the steering wheel and drove into the highway median. So the car's rolling, the truck is rolling along, and she's behind the wheel, unconscious, slumped over the steering wheel. The complaint said a witness, and this is heroic. The complaint said a witness got out of their vehicle to check on her, but could not open the door. The vehicle was still moving in the median. The witness told police she had to climb in the back window to put the Canyon Denali truck in park and shut it off. So the truck is rolling along. A witness comes along and tries to open the door, can't get the door open. Driver won't wake up. The witness climbs into the truck and manages to stop the vehicle and shut it off. A deputy with the county sheriff's office said that he found the driver, the judge, in the driver's seat, appearing to be heavily intoxicated and unsteady. He wrote that she is 55 years old, lives in Ogden. She could not walk on her own and was assisted to an ambulance for treatment. Now, after she was cleared by medical services, she still could not walk and refused to answer whether she'd be willing to undergo field sobriety testing, according to the complaint. Now, here's the thing. I know that some people, if they were put into a roadside situation and they're undergoing field sobriety tests, it might be a new experience for them. In fact, for many people it is. However, if you watch YouTube, you can see these videos all day long, shot with body cameras or by bystanders, or sometimes even by the driver themselves. And here's the thing. A judge or a lawyer knows so much about the process that she should know that when the police are asking her questions, they're going to ask her about taking field sobriety tests. Now, the question is, if she was drunk, how drunk was she? So the deputy wrote in the complaint that he also determined it would not be safe to conduct those tests given her condition. And now, I've never seen a police officer explicitly state this person is so drunk that it would be unsafe to attempt field sobriety tests at the roadside. And what he's getting at is she might fall down, she might stumble into traffic, and that would be bad. So a warrant was issued to obtain a sample of her blood at the Boone County Hospital. She's arrested for first offense operating while intoxicated and booked into the jail around 4 a.m. The sheriff said the blood specimen would be shipped to a state crime lab for testing. He said he's glad that no one was injured in the incident. This is a tough situation for both the judge's family and the sheriff's office, he said, adding that he had instructed his staff to treat the judge the same as any other suspect. So we don't know what the blood alcohol results are or what they will be. And here's the thing. As you can imagine, if you are a police officer and the local judge gets arrested, that's probably a local judge you've been in front of many times testifying. And so there would be a familiarity there. So court records do not list an attorney for the judge. A number associated with her said the called party is temporarily unavailable. A spokesperson for the Iowa Judicial Branch said the court system was aware of her arrest, but could not comment since it was a pending case and a personal matter. He said the 7-member Judicial Qualifications Commission investigates allegations of misconduct by Iowa judges and can recommend the retirement, discipline, or removal of a judicial officer of the Iowa Supreme Court. I've mentioned this before. Every state The state Supreme Court oversees the courts, including the judges. Discipline of the judges is often first handled by a group or a commission that oversees conduct. And they look at the conduct of judges that get reported to them. Then they'll, perhaps have some hearings, issue a report, and then the Supreme Court will look at it and say yes or no as to what they're going to do. A judge ordered, and that's the state Supreme Court, a judge ordered this judge released without bond after an initial court appearance Wednesday morning. Judge also ordered her to submit to a substance abuse evaluation and follow any recommendations for treatment in the next 30 days. Iowa Chief Justice appointed this judge chief judge in the district, which includes 22 counties in northern and central Iowa, and is the largest geographically in the state. That happened back in 2022. In that role, she supervises hundreds of judges and court employees in the district and presides over cases. She had been appointed as a district judge by the governor back in 2017 after serving as a prosecutor and a criminal defense lawyer. So she would know all about the drunk driving rules. Her judicial position quickly complicated the criminal proceedings against her because one district associate judge recused herself from the case due to her professional relationship with this judge. An order was signed requiring that a judge from another district be appointed to handle the case. That's been done. And the county attorney's office also said they had a conflict, so they asked the court to appoint a prosecutor, a special prosecutor from a different county. And that appears to be what they're going to do. And that's quite common. And I've seen it before where a judge gets in trouble and the local judges are like, hey, I can't sit as judge in this case because I have worked so much with this judge. No matter what happened, it wouldn't look right. I got no problem with that. What I have a problem with is, let's assume right now that there are different possibilities here. One possibility is that she had a medical emergency. Okay, it's possible. I'm just pointing this out. So let's suppose, for instance, that she had a stroke. And we've heard of that before. If she had a stroke and just happened to be driving along, had a stroke, and somehow that put her on the wrong side of the highway, going the wrong direction, that would be a medical emergency. That's one category of thing. However, if this is alcohol related that she drank and put herself into this condition and then put herself behind the wheel of a vehicle and then got on the road and drove that vehicle, that is a very, very serious thing. Obviously, if that's the case and the numbers bear out in terms of what her blood alcohol level is, yes, then you throw the book at her, treat her like every other drunk driver out there if she gets convicted. Also, however, as a judge, if she was drunk driving, again, I'm saying if, because we don't know, it's possible, like I said, that she had a stroke or some other medical emergency. If she was drunk driving and that blood alcohol content test comes back and the numbers are off the charts, at that point, you resign. You step down. There is no way on earth that you can be a judge and, for instance, hear drunk driving cases or sentence drunk drivers when you yourself have been convicted of it. And I've mentioned before that judges are supposed to act as good as possible, be such good citizens that when you look at them, you go, upstanding citizen, the judge over there. That judge is a model citizen. That's what they're supposed to be. And they're supposed to not just avoid impropriety, but to avoid the appearance of impropriety. The appearance. And so anything they do that looks bad, whether it is bad or not, can get them in trouble. But if it is bad, such as drunk driving, if it turns out she was drunk driving with big numbers, resign. There's no way. There's no way you can stay on the bench and expect people to take you seriously. And I know some people out there and go, Steve, you know something? You're the one who said just a couple days ago that you're not out to get everyone fired. I don't want everyone to get fired just because they made a mistake, but I do want people held to certain standards, and there are certain things that are serious enough to make you lose your job. And so you should know that in most states, drunk driving is a misdemeanor. It's a crime. And it's the kind of crime that risks the welfare of people in the public, driving the wrong way down the highway. We hear about wrong way crashes all the time. People often die. That's a serious, serious thing. And so if a judge displays that kind of poor judgment, that they drink that much and they get behind the wheel and they're driving on the wrong side of the highway, several mistakes were made. And they're the kind of disqualifying mistakes that, in my mind, would say, yes, it's time you step down. Because how on earth could you, from the bench, lecture a drunk driver? And again, if you've never been in court and seen someone get lectured for drunk driving, it's quite common. Don't get me wrong, they lecture everybody. Quite often, if somebody's being sentenced, they get lectured. That's part of the process. A judge will explain, here's why I'm sentencing you. And it sounds like a lecture. And it'd be very, very hard for someone, again, like I said, if the blood alcohol content tests come back and the numbers bear it out, if they come back, it'd be very, very difficult for her with a straight face to look at a drunk driver and go, do you understand you almost killed somebody? You could have killed somebody. Defendant could look at her and go, same with you. I would not advise you to do that, but that's what everyone would be thinking. So we'll see what happens. Tim, thanks for sending up from the Associated Press out of Boone County, Iowa. Iowa judge charged with OWI after witnesses say she drove wrong way on the highway. And buried in the story, a witness who saw this happening got out of their own car, ran over, jumped in by climbing through a window into her truck and stopped the vehicle. That's the amazing part of the story. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Adversity is the first path to truth.